Today at Santa Anita, Proudinsky will be asked to defend his title.
Proudinsky's going on. Gabriel Luberton cannot get him. And Proudinsky has won the San Gabriel by a neck.
But this time, the road to the San Gabriel winner's circle goes through a former Strub winner.
Jeranimo's in full flight for the wire. And Jeranimo and Martin Garcia have won the Strub.
Not to mention, arguably the best turf horse in Southern California.
What a scintillating display from the usual QT. The usual QT and Victor Espinosa, very impressive in the Eddie Reed.
The San Gabriel is next.
Grade 2, $150,000 event on the turf course listed as good. The San Gabriel Stakes and the usual QT 1 to 2. It's all part of the Claiborne Stakes Showcase, and one of the stories within the story, Jeff, is Proudinsky, a two-time San Gabriel winner. You have Patrick Valenzuela riding him for the first time since winning the Bay Meadows Derby, Jeff, in 2006. Bay Meadows in 2006.
So they're reunited. Okay, that's great.
It's been a while.
Yeah, all right. And I think PVAT will fit him just fine. And Proudinsky, the same thing I said about the usual QT, loves this turf course. Proudinsky, 3 out of 4 with 1 second, and usual QT undefeated in 3 starts. You know, grass racing at this time of the year can be a little volatile. It could be strong. It might not be so strong because some of your grass horses are taking the winter off. But this race came up really tough.
Well, you look at the usual QT and has not only done his damage here at Santa Anita, but down at Del Mar as well. This was the Grade 1 Eddie Reed in a sensational performance, going 1 1/8 late July down south.
This was his best race ever. It also was a career top in terms of the buyer number, but visually, he was just breathtaking today. I mean, in this particular race, he draws off wins for fun, and he's not usually the kind of horse that wins by daylight. Most of his wins have been, you know, fairly close, but that one, he just pulverized his field. And in fact, he probably ran too good for his own good.
Yeah.
Because that race convinced James Cassidy to try him in the Pacific Classic, which turns out that didn't work. But, yeah, you try it once.
But when you consider the competition the usual QT has been facing, he has run in 3 straight $1 million races.
Right.
The Breeders' Cup Mile, $2 million, facing some of the best turf horses in the world. He's lost those 3 races by a combined 6 lengths.
No, I mean, he's one of them. That's the thing. He is a terrific middle-distance turf horse. You can go a mile, obviously. 1 1/8 clearly within his range. And that's what he does. And there's enough money now for a gelding like this, who's only 4 turning 5, so there's still plenty of racing for him down the road, for him to really make a very, very impressive bankroll before he's done racing. It took a while before he broke his maiden.
Yeah.
You know, he was not one of these superstar type horses right off the bat. He was a maiden until well into his in fact, he was a maiden in August of it.
On synthetics, though he has hit the board in 5 of 6 on this particular turf course.
But he hasn't won in a long time. I would expect him to be really up against it here. If I'm looking for a price, Violon Sacré with that man Joel. He likes a little give in the ground that he can kick home if on his best day. If he can better his citation effort, then he's right there off his Eastern form.
At 7 to 1 for Patrick Biancone. All eyes on the usual QT. 3 to 5 post time for the Grade 2 San Gabriel Stakes.
Sent on their way. Meteor from the outside gate breaks smartly and sets off for the lead, although they're all lining up out here. Now here comes Violent Sacri in the red cap to take over. On the inside, Proudinsky is right there. And then we have the usual QT pulling his way along right in behind this leading group. We come back to Medici Code, who's taken back just behind Jeranimo, and last of all is Expansion. Only 5 lengths would cover the lot. Into the turn they go now, and it's Vision Sacri out on the lead, just over a length. In the second spot is the usual QT. On the inside of that comes Proudinsky. Then there's a gap of 3 back to Meteor. Jeranimo scraping the paint in the 5th position. Medici Code second last gives them 7 length start, and a length and a half back to Expansion. Onto the backstretch they go, and it's still Violent Sacri taking them along a decent pace. The usual QT's taking a nice old second, keen to go on the far side. Close up third is Proudinsky at the rail. Those 3 continue to race 3.5 ahead of Meteor. Jeranimo is down at the rail. Then we come back to Medici Code, who's still giving them 7 length start, and a length and a half further back to Expansion. Into the far turn they go now. Violent Sacri in front, 3 parts of a length. The Usual QT now coming to tackle from second. Proudinsky still in with a good shot down at the rail. 2.5 back to Meteor. Jeranimo's at the rail. Then Medici Code and Expansion. They're at the top of the lane now. On the inside, Proudinsky has room and goes on as Violent Sacri drops out fast. The Usual QT. Jeranimo getting a run at the rail. And Jeranimo now coming flying through on the inside. Jeranimo strikes the front from Proudinsky. The Usual QT did not go on, and it's old Jeranimo in a dominating performance today. Jeranimo and Rafael Bejarano could not have been more impressive. They win it easy. Proudinsky second. The Usual QT was third, and Expansion finished fourth.
The Stroob champ, Jeranimo, now a perfect 2 for 2 and graded stakes winner on the grass.
I remember him in the Stroob, and I remember him in the Big Cap, and I'm telling you, this horse is a much, much better horse on grass. His win at Hollywood was impressive, but nothing like this. He just crushed a terrific field. I mean, that was the Breeders' Cup, you know, third place finisher. He just blew away, and Proudinsky, the defending champ, had nothing when challenged by Jeranimo, who straight paint, draws off, and puts daylight between him and the rest of the pack. And I can tell you, 147 in the 5th on this course is flying.
With some giving it. Michael Pender pumped up following that performance by Jeranimo. Another win for Rafael Bejarano, and what a ride by Bejarano. The patience, saving ground on the fence, waiting for daylight. Once Jeranimo saw that daylight, accelerated instantly and ran right by Proudinsky, and the Usual QT really never in the mix from the 16th pole home.
He never was really happy. He was wide without cover. He was going head and head, chasing or stalking Violent Sacre, but it was with Proudinsky, so he was virtually in a race with a really high, tough horse all the way around the racetrack and kind of gave way. And meanwhile, I mean, Jeranimo was sitting behind the leaders. He was saving ground, never left the fence. And his visually impressive performance at Hollywood, albeit against much lesser, kind of tipped us off that maybe he was as good as he is on the synthetic. He's much better on the grass, because this was a much, much better performance than even, in my opinion, his win in the Stroob.
Look out below. Jeranimo, 4-1-3-7.